Very pleasant good evening to all of you. This evening, I would like to remember Rammohan Rao VU2RM of Kakinada about his contributions and his services made to the ham radio, electronics and communication, particularly to the ham radio. How he has encouraged hams by sharing his ideas and thoughts in many ways. Rao Garu, from his childhood onwards, showing interest in the field of electronics. At the age of 22 years, he has built a sophisticated complex SSB transceiver. Those days, beginning of the electronics movement, the components, the way we are getting the components freely in a small town itself, we can get resistors, capacitors, transistors. All these components are freely available in plenty nowadays. And the test equipment like signal generators, oscilloscopes, spectrum analyzers, SWR meters, and like this, all the equipments are available plenty. And adding to this, apart from this, we are having quite a number of engineering colleges in a big way. There also laboratories are there, students are exposed to this equipment, they can avail the facility. But even then, for a student, those who completes 4 years of course, for them also it is becoming difficult to even construct a small amplitude modulating transmitter. Forget about a big complex SSB transceiver. Even why we cannot go up to an amplitude transmitter, even they cannot build themselves a small eliminator, 12 volts eliminator. If anything goes wrong, becoming difficult for them to find out a fault also, that normally that job can be done by any radio mechanic very easily. Why it's happening? 4 years of the training, which is not helping them in any way. And some time back, I happened to meet engineering students who has completed his 4 years of engineering and received the certificate also. I asked him to find out a polarity of a electrolyte capacitor, but he failed to find out the correct polarity, which one side is positive and which one is a negative. These are all the simple things, but they are failing in that also. It is not their fault actually, it is the system. In the colleges, the full focus on theoretically, they are very, very strong in theoretical. When it comes to practical, almost zero. But ham radio definitely bridges that gap, motivating them into the practical side. But we can imagine how difficult situation at those days, 60 years back. I'm not sure, 60 or 65 years back, Rao Garu has built a transceiver, SSB transceiver. With that, successfully went into the radio, went into the air, communicated many stations within or outside of our country. In the absence of any test equipment and the components, he has made it. So that is the beauty, that is the greatness of Rao Garu. It is not exorbitant to say whatever knowledge, sound knowledge, depth knowledge he was having in the field of electronics, particularly in the SSB, single sideband, not even a Japanese scientist, scientist or American scientist, they are also not having that much of knowledge, depth knowledge in SSB, single sideband and other technologies which Rao Garu has acquired. I can say he is not less than Marconi. The contributions made by Marconi, of course, he has successfully he has converted into benefited from the professional manner by bringing out Marconi radio. But Rao Garu, whatever he has did for the cause of passion, for the cause of his personal pleasure, he has not earned anything. Of course, his profession also same thing, that is a wireless engineer, wireless in the port, Kakinada port, maybe which helped him, which has given an ample opportunity, spending more time on the electronics and communication circuits. But that is a different thing. But whatever contribution he has made, that is not at all lesser than that of the Marconi did it. So most of us remember him as Indian Marconi. Indian Marconi Rao passed away 1 year back, and tomorrow, that is 18th 6, 2022, is a death anniversary is going to be performed in Kakinada by his family members. On this occasion, I would like to remember the great services, the legendary ham, the pioneer of ham radio. When Rao Garu made SSB transceiver, Raju Garu, another contemporary, of course, is 10 years elder than Rao Garu VU2RM. Maybe when Rao built the SSB transceiver, he was just 22 years of age. And to see the equipment in operation, Raju Garu, he is having some doubt whether Rao Garu is going really on SSB or otherwise some sort of DSB equipment, double sideband operators. He wanted to check himself, he wanted to satisfy, he wanted to know more about Rao's circuit. Suddenly, one fine day, he landed in Rajahmundry. At that time, Rao Garu used to stay along with his father in Rajahmundry. Raju Garu landed into Rajahmundry one fine day, one midnight, and straight away, without making a single minute, without minute waste, and went into the Rao's house, Rao Garu's house, knocked at the door. At the time, Rao Garu was in very deep sleep, and by hearing the knocking sound, door knocking sound, Rao's father got up, and he was thinking, wondering who could be at that odd hour. Hams normally, they will no time limit for them. 24 hours is the time, and sometime hams will be working at midnight and morning, early morning also. And then that is and many hams know about it. And Raju Garu, he wanted to see the equipment at that time itself. And then Rao Garu was informed about the arrival of Raju Garu. And then Rao came, get up from the bed and taken Raju Garu into his room. Raju Garu at that time itself, he wanted to see the equipment. By seeing his interest, enthusiasm, Rao Garu taken Raju Garu in his radio room, where the equipment, some circuits, some printed circuit boards, PCBs are lying on the table, occupying almost 2 tables from this side to that side, this length to the lengthy, some crude components connected with some wires, not properly in a proper manner. But showing a circuit, it is my circuit, SSB. Still Raju Garu is having some disbelief. How can be it possible to communicate with this ports? And then when to clarify Raju Garu's doubt, Rao Garu started giving a call, CQ call, CQ, this is Victor Uniform number 2, Romeo Mike. After some time, somebody listened, but nobody was there at the time, odd hours, no Indian stations. And then after scanning the frequency, luckily some foreign stations, some 4-5 stations are having rock tune in some frequency. He entered into the frequency by giving a breaking call. And realizing some Indian station is trying to join in the frequency, they have invited Rao Garu to enter into this frequency, exchange a report. They have given 519. Readability is 5 and signal strength is 9. But still, Raju Garu still having doubt whether the signals that are being received by Rao, whether it is exactly SSB or not. So he wanted to clarify himself. Then Rao Garu passed the over to Raju Garu microphone. Raju Garu questioned the other stations. He questioned the other station like this: in which mode you are receiving my signal? He has given a short break. Then Pat came from the other side. They clarified, it is upper side band, single side band, upper side band. As we all know, above 10 megacycles, hams are allowed to go on USB. Below 10 megacycles, LSB. That practice is still, method is still in practice nowadays also. And after getting the clarification, Raju Garu felt very, very happy, satisfied himself, and both the legendary hams exchanged some ideas with regard to new circuits, those at the time coming out, exchanged their ideas, spent some time, and then very happily by the time when their discussions were continued till morning. After having a cup of coffee, Raju Garu very happily, with a sense of satisfaction, left for the place where from he started. That is to Visakhapatnam or Vizianagaram, I am not sure. This is the story, happened in decades back, still lingering in mind, and we came to know about this story through Rao Garu when he shared all this information to us. Then only we came to know. But this happened long back, some maybe 5 decades or 6 decades back. Still it is inspiring the people like us to involve more and more in the technical hobby. And Rao Garu and Raju Garu both are very good friends. Both of them, we have invited them to take part in the Millennium, which was conducted in 2000 Vijayawada Hanumantaraya Grandalayam. And it was really, it was a treat for us, a visual treat for us, seeing both the legendaries, both the pioneers of ham radio at one single stage that happened in Hanumantaraya Grandalayam. Both the legendaries, they started, Raju Garu has started his journey by a 4-wheeler, by a jeep, something like it appears to be a military color jeep, and picked up Rao Garu in Kakinada. Both the legendaries started towards Vijayawada after a hectic journey, long journey, undertaking long journey by road, driving themselves. They have not felt any tiredness, fatigueness was not seen on their faces, but maybe They have really they might have felt some tiredness, but after seeing all the hams and SWLs, a big team like 150 people were assembled there, taking part with them, they have forgotten all their tiredness and then fatigueness. Very interestingly, they have motivated all us, exchanged their ideas. More and more motivation was done. We all benefited by their arrival, and they felt very, very happy. And after completion of the meeting, they left for Guntur. They after meeting some hams in Guntur, exchanging their ideas, motivating them, and proceeded to Nellore. Via Nellore also same thing happened. Wherever they goes, they have been received with warmth, and they have been given red carpet welcome. Reached Tamil Nadu and Karnataka also, visiting Chennai, like Bangalore and all the places. Wherever goes, hams felt very, very happy, hams and SWLs, by seeing both these legends of Andhra Pradesh, feeling proud to have both these legends are from our state, that is in Andhra Pradesh, motivated many people, and they have provided very good circuits. Raju Garu through his NR60, Rao Garu RM96, both are familiar, both are they have done wonderful services. And Rao Garu, not only he is having a depth knowledge of in electronics and communication, he is having enough sufficient knowledge about the cyclones and storms also. He exactly predicts whenever a cyclone storm develops in the Bay of Bengal, he will guide us. Most of the time, Rao Garu, Raju Garu, and TV Reddy Garu, Naidu Garu, all these legendary hams were available on the frequency 7088, having conversation. By listening their conversation itself, we feel very, very happy. We can get more knowledge, more ideas about ham radio. It was a habit for us, people like me, to receive their signal without entering into this frequency. Listening their voices itself enthuse us, inspire us to motivate ourselves more and more. Those were the days considered to be the golden days. Rao Garu, at the time of Orissa super cyclone, exactly he has predicted about the super cyclone devastation which is likely to cause in the Orissa at least 3-4 days in advance. After completion of our operation, prior to this Orissa super cyclone, 1 or 2 small cyclones that caused damage, a bit of damage. The gravity of damage is not much, but it is the usual damage caused. And then after completion of our work, we reached to Srikakulam, and the Dadan collector Srikakulam, Jawahar Reddy Garu, he was kind enough to make all the facilities for hams, and utilizing of that opportunity of our stay, he has called, he has requested us to give a refreshing program to the collectorate employees, collectorate ham radio operators. Some ham operators earlier trained by us and received their license, but they are not having that much practical knowledge how to operate, how to install a antenna and other things. We have been asked to give a demonstration in a practical manner. We have involved ourselves. After completion of that work, we are in a mood to return back to our place. At the time, I was in Amalapuram, camped for some time, and then in the meanwhile, Rao Garu entered in the frequency, strongly warned us. What do you think? Do you think the disaster has been completed now? Everything is over? Don't be complacent. Again, very big cyclone disaster is likely to come, which is going to cause heavy destruction. He cautioned us. He was observing whenever a disturbance brewing up in the Bay of Bengal, very keenly he will observe. He observes it very carefully and predict and calculate and which way it is going to affect the coast. He was observing when this cyclone was dying, the main cyclone, some harmonics generated. Those harmonics day by day gradually increased and reached at a level that also going to cause extensive damage. He predicted and he told us to get ready with our antennas and equipment, get ready and make it all right if any damages are there in the antennas, and to ready to tackle the next situation, to tackle the next disaster. Okay, we have kept all these things in our mind, but anyway, relieved by the collector, reached to our respective places. I myself reached Amalapuram, and Shankara Garu, others went back. And then another 3 days, exactly after 3 days, I was in touch with the secretariat through ham radio from Amalapuram, making a small makeshift antenna, and they received the signal. As I received again some problem in the Bay of Bengal, we all directed to go reach Srikakulam. Immediately we have been asked to report the collector, Jawahar Reddy Garu. We reached there, but we are quite fortunate that cyclone has not caused any destruction. But it is our fortunate, but it is unfortunate to Orissa people. It has caused extensive damage. It wreaked havoc, a trail of destruction which has left a trail of destructions. The houses were, Pakka houses were uprooted, roads were damaged, trees were uprooted, Pakka houses are blown away, and everywhere a sheet of water covered. Wreaked havoc, left a trail of destruction, and we have been asked, directed by the Andhra Pradesh government to reach, to go Orissa to take part in the disaster management, helping the neighboring state in providing emergency communication. We all the way, Collector Garu, Jawahar Reddy Garu, he has arranged vehicles to reach Orissa by road. We reached there and then met the Giridhar Gomongo of Dadan Chief Minister and the present Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik. At that time he was Industries Minister. We arranged the equipment and served the Orissa people and government in a best manner. Received appreciations all over nation, not only on the nation. Received appreciations from BBC, news channels like BBC. They are shown round the clock by giving some scrolling. Hams from Andhra Pradesh working round the clock like this. Messages were shown to the entire world. Those were the days. And this super cyclone, what I want to stress now at this point, super cyclone was well predicted by our Rao Garu well in advance. Like this, in many occasions, Rao Garu predicted exactly whatever predictions he has made, exactly 90% of his predictions have came true. And then like this, he used to be available on 7088 frequency whenever any problem, any confusion, any doubt arises. He comes like a godfather. He used to help us. He used to guide us in a proper manner. His services we cannot forget. And his services to Indian hams, bringing out a circuit that can be done by any low income group people also comfortably. By spending some 2000 rupees, one can have a sophisticated single sideband transceiver. Those days one equipment was costed something like with antenna, power supply, all these things comes around 1 lakh rupee. It is for a common man, it is difficult to have such equipment. Even though plenty of VHF equipment was available, HF equipment was not available. It is very, very costly. That deficiency was fulfilled by Rao Garu by giving a beautiful circuit RM96, making components like the very cheap components, the transistors BC148, BC147, VF494 like this. Initially there was some reluctance, some criticism by some hams. They started, these components cannot be used in any radio transmitters, particularly these are used for only receivers, cannot be worked for the transmitters. But despite of this criticism, it proved the circuit was worked very, very nicely, as I myself benefited, make at about 40 equipment and helped many people to coming on the radio. It's all because of the inspiration I have received from Rao Garu. We all must be thankful to Rao Garu forever. We cannot forget their services for lifetime. Their circuitry idea is with us and with many people like us. And to proper recognizing his services as a token of recognition, his services. We all know Japan is the number one in the field of electrons. That is because number of ham radio operators are more. It is a factor. Number of the electronic development directly depends upon the number of ham radio operators. It proved in the case of Japan. More number of more number of hams means more number of people experimenting on different things. Some people experiment on circuit, some people on antenna, some people study the propagations conditions. As a whole, electronic communication will develop. So realizing this thing, many countries also started encouraging their ham radio activities, like China and other countries also. We also take a cue from this experiment, from their experience. We should encourage ham radio at the school level itself to make it possible. Rao's biography, Rao Garu's stories, it should be included as a lesson in the school going students itself, so that it will inspire more and more people to join in the ham radio, and their services are useful at national level in the times of disasters, and country also will develop. So this is my idea. It's a story is as a lesson, small lesson, has to be introduced at the school level, high school level. So it will definitely help us motivate youngsters to enter into this activity. So that is an idea. Just I would like to pass on to share to all of you. We all should work on that direction. With this, once again, I would like to remember respect. I would like to pay respect to the departure legendary ham Rao Garu. With this, I am taking leave from all of you. 73. Bye for now.